everyone. This is Steve Van Diest. I am the host of the Sharpen podcast, brought to you by Acumen. Acumen is a growth-minded peer community for business owners who are looking to grow, optimize, but also not lose their heart. Too often we find business owners up and down the country that are lonely, lacking vision, lacking what do I do next? They're just running alone. And so I'm excited to have you guys all here listening. Today, we have an expert in the world of advertising. I know most business owners are going, oh, advertising, marketing. It's like the bane of my existence. I don't know how to solve it. I don't know how to grow our company using it. And so today we're going to dive into, I think, one of the experts in the industry. He's been in the industry for about 13 years. We met about 12 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, because I engaged with him in advertising when we had a bunch of mattress stores up and down the Front Range. And so today, I'm introducing a great friend, Jack Gelley, and we've known each other for that long, become very dear friends. Godly man, a wise leader, a volunteer, and gosh, one of the most influential people, I think, in Colorado. So, Jack, tell us a little bit of yourself and how you got to this point.
Thanks, Steve. And as always, it's a pleasure to be with you. I used to manage the catastrophe team for Farmers Insurance, and I traveled about 27 days a month. And got tired of being away from my family, my church, my friends. Been involved in worship forever, and it was just time to stop that. And through a series of events, a bass player in my church said, "Hey, have you ever considered doing sales?" And I said, "Heck no." To me, that was like the slimy used car sales guy, right?
Or mattress sleazy guys.
Yeah.
We're like on the bottom.
Yeah. How can I twist your arm to get into this car today? You know, that kind of stuff. He goes, "No,
Yeah.
that's not what it's like." And anyhow, it turns out he was the director of operations for iHeartMedia. And I go, "How'd you get that job?" He goes, "I built the app." I'm like, "Oh, wow." So, anyhow, he kept talking to me about it. And eventually I applied and he wrote this glowing recommendation letter. That's how I got my foot in the door, and been there ever since. It's been an amazing ride, and one of the best decisions I ever made. Got to meet people like you.
That's right. And it's fun. We bumped into each other a couple years ago, and since then it's been shoulder to shoulder.
Yep.
Now you help brands connect where marketing deeply resonates. You're a great storyteller. You've got a great story. How do you move customers and that emotional side of their story to connect with a brand? But how also do you do that with a brand connecting with a customer? How do you do those things? Because there's
Sure.
something I've heard you say before. 44% of Americans feel neglected, forgotten, and disenfranchised by their advertiser.
Yeah. Uh, Case in point, most marketers are actually disconnected from who their consumers are. Um, like something like 90% of marketers know what an Aperol spritz is, and they know how to make one, and they think that it's like one of the most frequently ordered cocktails out there. Most consumers have no idea what an Aperol spritz is, what's in it, and they don't order it. Most marketers think that the ideal vacation is some European vacation or somewhere outside the US. Most consumers in the US are happy just to be able to take time off and do a staycation with their family. So there's a large disconnect between what marketers typically think and what the consumer wants or needs.
Yeah. So how do you make
We,
that connection then?
so asking lots of questions.
Hmm.
And so like, for example, like when I sit down with you, went back in Urban Mattress, like, tell me who your ideal customer is. Why do they buy from you? What is the pain point that you're helping them meet, right? And so, in me talking to my clients, I try to figure out what's your pain point. Like, are you having trouble getting foot traffic in? Do you have a great product that people just don't know about? Um, are you not spending enough in advertising? Do you have unreal expectations as far as like how's it going to work and what's the cycle time going to be? Well, you've got to ask the same questions for your consumers, and you've got to figure out like what's the pain point. Well, for in the mattress industry, as you know, it's different things for different people. I'm a side sleeper, but I can't get comfortable on my side. I have back problems. I need something that supports my lower back and keeps my knees elevated. What is it that stops them? Or maybe I'm a snorer and I keep my wife up. How do you help solve for those issues? Things like that. So what is the bottom line impact that the client wants or that your consumer wants? If you don't address that, your marketing doesn't talk to the right people or tell the right message. Um, Reference testimonial is one of the best ways to sell anything is word of mouth advertising. And so when I think of word of mouth advertising, it's you talking to me, Jack, I found this great steak place, or Jack, I found this great cigar shop, or whatever it is. Because you told me that, because I trust you, I'm likely going to go try that thing, probably with you, or at least, within a couple of days of you talking to me about it. It's the same thing when you're trying to have a consumer come into your circle, or trying to get you into their consideration set. What need are you meeting? And then is there somebody that they listen to all the time, like a morning drive DJ on the way in? If they talk about XYZ product and you should use it, they're going to listen to them, because people really consider the DJ as the friend in the passenger seat next to them. Or if it's their favorite podcast host, they're already listening because they trust that podcast host. So if that podcast host makes a recommendation, they're likely going to do it. In fact, the statistic is 67% of people have admitted to buying a product or service they learned about in their favorite podcast, because it's trust, right? Everything is trust based. And so what most people don't realize is anything audio is the most trusted media platform out there: radio, podcast, streaming, TV, because people tune into it all the time. It's building that trust. The other piece people need to recognize is that at any one point in time, only about 5% of the market is in market for whatever product or service you're selling. And things like trying to get somebody to change a doctor, or to change an attorney, or to change a dentist, that's a long, long term. And they've got to realize that there's enough pain in their current experience to want to change, to try a different experience. If you're moving from out of town to a new town, that's easy. I got to find a doctor, I got to find a dentist. But if I've been in Denver since 1988 and I've had the same doctor for 33 years, what's it going to take to make me want to change that doctor? Just because you advertise for 6 months doesn't mean I'm going to move. But if you said, Jack, I don't know what your doctor's experience was like, but let me tell you about mine, and it's 3 miles from your house. Again, I might consider that a little more. There's a couple dentists that I know of in the town that their experience is completely different and like light years ahead of everybody else's. But if you're not dissatisfied with your current dentist, you're never going to try him. You don't know the need is out there, unless somebody that I trust closely tells me, you really got to try this, and here's why.
It sounds like the business owner that's considering advertising, and all should at some point figure out where it fits in. The first key point is there's a conversation, there's a connection, but they have to listen. They've got to listen to the pain points of the customer they're serving. Yes, they may have the greatest resource, widget, business service, tool, product, but if they're not listening, they're going to be complete. It's going to fall on deaf ears.
Mhm.
So
The
now,
biggest issue is, like, you might have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, who
yeah.
cares? And if I don't know how it's going to make my life better, I still don't care.
Exactly. Yeah, tell that story, listen well. Now, when you walk in, because we're talking to mostly those that listen to the Acumen podcast, Sharpen podcast, are business owners, entrepreneurs. Now, when you, the advertising marketing person, walk in, somehow you've been introduced, there's a connection. You walk in, and you're trying to build a relationship. You're trying to listen to, as well, to that business owner, what their pain points are. But off of they don't know what their pain points are. What are you listening for the business owner? What are the pain points that they need to be kind of recognizing in their own self?
A lot of it, so a lot of advertisers advertise out of pride. Like, I want to hear my name, I want to see my face. So I put myself in places where I'm going to hear my name and see my face. Maybe that's not where their consumers are, right? Like, a lot of people still spend money on linear TV, ABC, CBS, NBC. 88% of consumers are either cord cutters, meaning they're not watching traditional TV, or they're cord shavers, meaning they're shortening the amount of time spent on traditional TV versus long-term TV. So if I were to sit down with you 12 years ago, it'd be like, Steve, what do you need from me, right? Well, you're in marketing. Okay, obviously understand that. I've got lots of tools and assets. Almost anything you can think of that's marketing, I can do it for you. What's going to give you the quickest return? Do you know what your average cycle time is? Do you know how many different stores a person visits before they land on your store and say, okay, I want to buy from Steve versus somebody else? Whatever your competitors in the market, or all the online competitors are these days. And I mean, you can't ignore Amazon for most industries. Okay, people are going to go shop around, then they're going to jump on Amazon and see what the price is there. Okay, great. Is Amazon a trusted platform? Yes and no. It is, but how much of those reviews are paid for reviews or bogus reviews? It's just like Yelp. for you or anybody that's advertising, I've got to pay attention to why are you in business? Why do you want to grow your business? Is it just everybody says, "Oh, I want to make more money." There's something behind that, right? Do you want to build a legacy? Especially with us, we're talking about people of faith. Do you want to build a legacy so that you can leave something to your favorite endowment or charity afterwards? Do you want to give it to your kids and let them grow it further? What is it you want to do with it? Why are you in business? And if we can tap into that and help you bring that why into your messaging, more people resonate with that.
Yeah, maybe the first challenge to business owners is what is your why?
Mhm.
If it's just about making money, what do you actually if you know the person's maybe got a faith background and they're a business owner and they're selling something and you don't and it's just like, yeah, we want to grow our business. Do you have an opportunity to step in and challenge them what their why is?
Mhm. Often.
Yeah.
And it depends like the size of the company and who I'm speaking with usually, but for for our general audience here today, the conversation is, yeah, why are you doing what you're doing? Well, I want to help more people. Okay, to help more people, you need to let more people know about what you're doing and how what your product or service is going to improve their life. I want to build my retirement. That's a worthy goal, right? We
Hmm.
shouldn't have to be dependent on somebody else when we retire. So I want to build my retirement. Okay, well, to build your retirement, you got to grow your business. And to grow your business, you got to tell more people about it. You can't keep talking to the same customer base. You got to grow that customer base. How are we going to do that together? Is it I want to leave a legacy for my family? Okay, well, what does that look like? Is a legacy for one person $1 million and legacy to another person is $5 million? How are we going to get you there?
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot as well as in our Acumen councils, we gather a bunch of business owners and they present issues all the time. You've heard this before as well, because I know we've talked about it. There is past trauma and wounds with marketing and advertising. And so they meet you and you're just another guy. Maybe they got introduced to by a friend that helps. What are
Mhm.
some of those traumas that business owners have experienced? And then what do you say in response to those trauma experiences?
Yeah, so when I consult somebody as far as advertising, I do what's in the best interest for them. A lot of sellers are out there just to make a sale. I'm there to build a relationship so that 10, 12 years later, we're friends. We work together. You trust me. And I make introductions for you. You make introductions for me. We're a perfect example of that.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of marketers, they say, I'm going to try this. And they dip their toe in the water. That doesn't work in marketing. You've got to go either in or out. I'm going to do it or I'm not. And I'll tell a lot of my customers when I sit down with them or client prospects, now's not the time. You save your money. Because if I sold you this, you wouldn't be happy. We wouldn't be friends and we never do business together again. And that leaves a sour taste in your mouth for all marketing. There's a common adage you've heard, I know 50% of my marketing works and 50% doesn't. I just don't know which 50%. It's funny, but it's true because people
I
try to
know.
shotgun their marketing. They test too many things at one time. It's got to be trust based, right? And so hopefully when I sit down with somebody, you've already met me because you were introduced to me by somebody else that you trust. Understand that my goal is to help you grow because if you grow, I grow.
Yeah, because I've heard things like, well, yeah, I've done PPC. I did SEO for, let's
Mhm.
call it 3 to 6 months, and nothing changed. Where may that business owner be missing the bigger picture of advertising?
So you brought up SEO, and one point I try to make clear with, especially an entrepreneur or somebody who's new into owning a business that's stepping into marketing, SEO is not marketing. It
Mm,
is the bedrock of your marketing, but it is not marketing. It's not going to bring you more customers, but it is the bedrock of you getting more customers. You have to have that in place first. Second, you have to have a great website. If your website is subpar, people are going to go to your website and look at it and go, no, this website's not good. I'm not doing business with this company. And it may not be the truth. You may be a fantastic company, provide fantastic service, top notch at what you do. But if your website's not professional and clean and easy to find the information that people are looking for, they're going to bolt. The other thing about having a good website is it's got to be mobile optimized. I go to a lot of web pages still, which kind of blows my mind. for companies that I'm looking to partner with, and their website on their desktop is great, but you go to their mobile site and it's like all herky jerky. You can't find, doesn't, things fall off the edge of the screen, or the page doesn't fill the whole way. You got to have mobile optimization. The last thing I'll
Yeah.
say about websites is you have to make it as easy as possible for the consumer to do what they want to do. If you're trying to get them to fill out a form, put that form on the above the fold on the center of the homepage. If you're trying to get them to call you, make sure your phone number is all over the place. Make sure there's a click to call button. You got to make it easy for the consumer to find what it is that you want them to do. If it's to schedule an appointment, if it's to request more information, if it's to watch a video, you make that front and center.
Do business owners and explain the other mistakes they make? Hey, I've got a business owner, the CMO, the marketing officer is saying, hey, I want to try this strategy. And they've got a friend that says, hey, we're going to do these mailers. And then the CEO goes, yeah, but I want to do this commercial. And so they start just trying different things. Kind of unpack that error in thinking when it comes to advertising. I'm a $20 million business. I'm selling a widget here locally or nationally. Um, what's my mistake when I start doing these different hodgepodge strategies?
So one is any advertising campaign has to have three key components: the right message to the right audience, the right number of times.
Hmm.
So I know that it's going to take me between 10 and 14 reach outs, typically if it's a cold call, to get somebody to respond to me. The same is true for any advertiser. And so a lot of people have unrealistic expectations that I'm going to launch this campaign and it's like turning the faucet on. Here comes the customers. It doesn't work that way. I'm very upfront with every one of my customers, and you and I had the same conversation. Your first 3 months, you're going to hate me. You're going to be like, why am I spending money with you? It's not working. It's not working. Well, we get hit with about 10,000 marketing messages a day. So you start marketing messages a day and somebody hears your commercial once or twice a day, they've got you're building a bedrock: first month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month. But you've got to get through that branding building part where people hear your message the first couple of times, it goes in one ear, out the other. Same thing with seeing it visually. Maybe the third or fourth time they hear it, they're like, oh, I recognize that ad. Fifth and sixth time they hear it, they start to lean in a little bit more, pay attention to the ad. Then if they're in market between that seventh and 10th time, they're going to do whatever it is you're trying to get them to do. But it takes repetition, it takes time, it takes cutting through all those other marketing messages, and then it has to be relevant to what they need in their life at that point. That's the whole 5% are in market for whatever product or service you have. People try to shotgun things too much, and they say, I'm going to test this, I'm going to test that, and they spread their marketing budget too thin across too many different things. I always say, whatever marketing you're going to do, make sure your SEO is on point, make sure your website's on point, then try one marketing tactic and stick with that for 5 to 6 months.
Hmm.
See what's going to happen at that point. If you say, I'm going to try it for 3 months, you're not giving it enough time. You're basically opening the window and throwing your money out the window and closing the window. It's
Shocking.
like,
Oh, go ahead.
well, think about like when you invest in the stock market, do you invest for 3 months and expect a return? Do you invest in 6 months and expect a return? They're called marketing campaigns, to use a military term, right? It's a campaign, it's not a skirmish. And a campaign is a long lasting campaign with pounding and pounding and pounding over and over and over. Okay. That's how you win that battle. It's the same thing with marketing. If
Hmm.
you just say, oh, I'm going to try 3 months here and 3 months there, you're very, very rarely going to see any kind of return.
That's funny. You're talking to business owners who are fairly impatient. If they're an entrepreneur and they started their business and didn't just, even if they acquired it, they want quick solutions fast. They want to jump into a business, change it, make more money, increase cash flow, have greater impact. And that might be one of their biggest dangers when they get into advertising is I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work, then I'll try this. Is it wise for them to hire first a strategist or someone that or an agency that has all of it in their kind of portfolio in their toolbox because you see all these things and I remember as a business owner I'm getting marketed by one person doing a website, another person saying hey we can do some paid advertising, another one saying what about mailers, another one saying hey do you want to do TV or radio, and it felt like the business owner's going I didn't go to school for marketing, I have no insights on advertising. How are they to make that decision? Do they need a quarterback?
Yeah, you definitely need somebody that's going to be a point person, somebody that's knowledgeable about the industry. whether that's somebody you can afford to hire in-house or whether it's somebody you turn to outside. We at iHeart, we do pretty much everything you can think of that's marketing except for print and billboards. So we help you with connected TV, podcast, streaming, audio, social media, radio, influencers, events, sports marketing, you name it. Um, and with us, you don't pay a commission. You don't pay the 15% that you pay to an agency. We do most of your production for you in-house for free. And of course, because we're the largest media company, we also have the largest production staff too. But whether you choose to go through an iHeart or you go through an agency, I know you've got a couple of great agencies on your Acumen team. You need somebody that's a point person that is knowledgeable about where you're going to get the best returns, what the fastest returns are going to be for you, knowing your cycle time, understanding your cycle time. A good example is there's a big difference between marketing hamburgers versus marketing an injury attorney. Everybody needs to eat 3, 4 times a day. Hopefully, we never need an injury attorney, but they continue to market because they want to stay top of mind and focused. That cycle time for one individual might be 10 years, might be 15 years. Same with somebody who needs a plumber. That might be once every 10 years, I need a plumber or an HVAC person. But you still have to continue marketing so that when somebody does come into market for your product or service, they think of you first.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to measure attribution for your campaign? Is it calls? Is it clicks to your website? Is it form fills? Is it in-store foot traffic? There's ways to measure all that stuff. If you don't have somebody that's knowledgeable at how to measure and attribute what's coming from what kind of marketing, again, it's just kind of throwing your money out there and hoping it works.
Yeah. What does the business owner or the leadership team, they sit their weekly leadership meeting or maybe their quarterly meetings, what metrics or kind of structures, what's their scorecard when it comes to marketing? What should they be looking for on a weekly, quarterly basis to see if it's working? Not just top line, because it may just be, hey, we just lucked out and we happen to market. Are there any things they should be looking for on a regular basis or habit?
Well, so first of all, I wouldn't test more than one marketing tactic at a time. When you do, it gets back to that. It's working. I don't know what's working better. The first thing you're going to see is an increase in your organic site traffic and your direct site traffic on Google. Everybody does the same thing. That's a good point too. People say, "How'd you hear about me?" And 99% of the public is always going to say Google, because what do we
Yeah.
do as consumers, right? We hear about a product, you refer a product to me. The first thing I do is Google, type their name in, look for it, and so then they have to ask the question: Did you just type in best carpet cleaner near me, or did you type in like long lasting carpet and upholstery cleaning? Oh, well, I typed your name in. Well, how did you hear my name? And people don't take
Hmm.
that extra step to ask that question. So I always encourage people to watch your organic traffic when you launch a campaign, watch your direct search. Those things are going to spike. Those are, you don't have to pay for that attribution or anything like that. You just monitor it and watch it. Um, but every industry's got different KPIs. What is it site traffic? Is it brand affinity? Is it sales numbers?
Yeah.
How are you going to measure it? What does success look like to you? Some people advertise and don't even want to see an ROI. They just want their name out there. Things like sports marketing is great for that.
Hmm. Yeah, I sat down with a gentleman yesterday that I think that has done marketing with you guys for almost 25 years. And yesterday was the first time I met him face to face via an introduction to you. Yet I've heard his name and his company for 25 years.
Mhm.
And so as soon as the introduction happened, I wasn't in the market necessarily to purchase that product. But as soon as you mentioned the name, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm family. And because I had heard it so long, and I've heard other DJs and hosts talk about this brand, and so it is that longevity, and he's one of the more influential businesses in the Front Range. Now, there's this new thing. We'll end here before I ask some more personal questions. And we didn't talk about this before, but I thought, gosh, there's so much that's going on in the AI world. What is AI doing to influence advertising, and what should we also be leery of and be cautious of?
Yeah, good question. So AI is based on anything that's on the internet. And it's corny, but one of the examples I use is if I just decided to go out there and write a paper about the London Bridge, and I just interjected the London Bridge is purple, that's information that's out in the internet now, and AI will might see that and put into your paper or your article that the London Bridge is purple. You always have to fact check anything you do in AI. AI is powerful, and for a business, they need to understand that a lot of consumers are going away from Google and direct to
Hmm.
AI. You type into AI, hey, what's a great pizza place near me? Right? Where you used to go to Google and do that. Now it's AI.
Yeah, I did that today. And so, yes, it's changing quickly. So, have your team think about it. Talk to your marketing agency, your advertising agency, and see what they're doing as well. And then someone's got to have eyeballs on it. Now, Jack, you and I have become friends, and you've got all sorts of other things. Now, speak to the person that's in the business development space. They're in the sales space, whatever you call it. They're a professional advisor. They're selling something to the business owner. You're one of the best in the city. What advice would you give to all of those that are also trying to sell their service or their product through business development? What advice would you give on that?
Don't ever sell on your first meeting.
Hmm.
Get to know the person. Um, Show them that you're trustworthy. Follow up on your word if you commit to calling them in the next day or emailing them or whatever. As soon as you meet with somebody, you come back to the office that day, draft a quick email or even a handwritten note. Hey, thanks for your time. I know you're busy. I appreciate the time you took with me. And really seek to ask questions. Seek to be of service or value. Again, you know from working with me for years that my favorite thing about my job is all the great people I get to meet and all the
Mhm.
connections I get to make for people. If I could monetize that, I would do that for a living.
Yeah.
If you seek to be of true service to people, that's when they know you really care about them. And so a lot of times I'll walk down from a first meeting with somebody going, "Oh, I got this introduction for you, and I got this introduction for you, and here's how they're going to help you." You're already providing a value and a service to that person before they even, lifted a pen to write a check to you. Care about the
Yeah.
person. Zig Ziglar, I'm dating myself, but he's one
Hmm.
of my favorite sales guys. One of my favorite sayings of his was, "If you help enough people in life get what they want, you'll always have what you want."
Hmm. It's true kingdom servant leadership. And I think
Mhm.
most people in town would know probably quite a few things about you, probably before ever engaging with you at iHeart and advertising. They would know that you are passionate about helping the Veterans Whiskey Society. They would find out that you're a very gifted musician and may have even seen you play. What's the name of your band?
Grains of sand.
Yeah, and I did. You're a former worship pastor, and then you've got this skill. You and your wife and a buddy of yours have been playing how long?
15 years.
Yes, I saw you a couple months ago, and I was blown away by how good you are. And in the
Yep.
room were a bunch of friends, and I would bet your clients knew those things about you and knew about your wife Lucretia and your son Xander and all these things about you, your passions and who you are and maybe a hunting trip or a fishing trip or how you're volunteering your time at the Veterans Whiskey Society. How does that play into also helping sell well?
It makes you a well-rounded individual. You can
Hmm.
talk about a lot of things to a lot of people. Um, I forget what the phrase is, but from Paul, I try to be all things to all people so that I can win all people to Christ.
Hmm.
Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you happen to work for one of the largest advertising agency in the country, yet you are very personable and friendly and people trust. So it's very easy also because you've also introduced so many people to each other. There is this sense of, gosh, we trust Jack. He's normal. He's not pushy. He's not transactional. We see him around. He's present. And so as a business owner, I'm hearing some things in summary. One, a business owner needs to kind of apply those same things. Yes, they're running a business, but they need to be real. They need to know their why. They need to have the story as well. Are you actually volunteering for something, or is it just about making money? Because the customer is going to sniff that up out eventually and not buy from you if there's not a trust.
Yep.
So the business owner that's thinking about advertising needs to know deep who they are, what their story are, what they makes them special, and maybe some deep values, and then present that to a marketing agency or an advertising firm. Second, I'm hearing from you today is they need to listen to their customer. Yes, they created the best fintech idea or tech product or service, and it's going to go change the world. Well, there are millions of those in the last 100 years that have gone bankrupt.
Yep.
And I would say, listen, listen, listen. And then maybe the third summary is don't let your past define your future of advertising.
Hmm.
You probably made a mistake and your team's made a mistake and you spent a lot of money. Don't let those traumas, those fears, those mistakes affect what you're doing forward, because what you have and who you are is very important to tell the world. Well, Jack, how do
Yeah.
we? I'm grateful for your insights. I often introduce you and I use your insights often as I coach business owners. Um, how do they find you?
LinkedIn, just Jack Gelley on LinkedIn, Gelley. And then I'm Jack Gelley at iHeartMedia.com.
Okay, so what's keeping you sharpened, challenged, and inspired lately? That's a question we always ask business owners, but what's keeping you that way?
I listen, well, so my morning routine is probably the best thing I can explain to people. I get up, do what everybody does when they get up, go downstairs, make an espresso, sit down, read my Bible, pray, journal. Takes me about an hour. I go downstairs and work out for an hour after that. And I start my day because that way I'm starting my day physically, spiritually, and mentally as strong as possible.
Mm.
And so it just sets you up for the best day possible. Um, I listen, if I sit down to read, I fall asleep. So I listen to a lot of books on Audible. So I've been listening to some great books recently, and then I also listen to some leadership podcasts.
Okay, then I want to encourage people as once they find you to spend a day with you driving around the Front Range, because this will be the experience. And we had this experience a couple weekends ago. We're driving up I-70 and you're like, hey, do you want to drive into Breckenridge and stop by this brewery? I know the owner really well. He's become a great, great friend. He's never done advertising with you. Yet he's a great friend, and we had a phenomenal experience. And
Yeah.
that was kind of the experience. Just spend a day in the life with Jack, and you're going to meet some of the most fascinating business owners, business development people, stories, hot spots around town. So I appreciate you, brother.
You too.
Thank you for your wisdom. I think you're going to help sharpen business owners as well. The rest of you, if you're going, what the heck is Acumen? I just came across this Sharpen podcast. Come check us out. If you're a business owner, a CEO that wants to be surrounded by other business owners and CEOs that are going to develop you, grow you, have your back, and also poke you in the chest at times and sharpen you and iron sharpens iron. I encourage you to check out acumenimpact.com. It's our website. Check out what a peer group is if you're in Kansas City, Phoenix, and Denver, and we're opening up new markets all across the country. So thank you for your time. Jack, thank you as well.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.